So you're being recorded right now, so everything you say will be held against you in a court of law. No.
Oh, not one of these.
Yeah, it's good to finally chat to you, man.
Yeah, man.
Well, I think we've been trying to line something up for a couple of months now. It's just a case of your schedule with mine, and it's good to finally have you here, man.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like some days I figure weekdays is probably better, but some days I still have to go into and commute to work. But today I'm home, so perfect timing. And I'm off from the gym, so save a little bit more time today.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, gym takes up quite a bit of time. I don't think, you acknowledge it, but you don't realize how much time it takes up throughout your week until you actually kind of realize, oh shit, I don't have time for anything else.
Yeah, dude, it does. There was a time when, in my early 20s, I used to love going to the gym every day. Now I'm just like, fuck, I have to make time for I still enjoy training, but it really eats into my schedule because I have so much shit to do now.
Oh yeah.
It takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to train, but then you also eat usually before, after, take a shower, go to the gym and, warm up, all this other stuff. It adds up, and just try to figure out a way to throw it in there and balance it out somehow.
Yeah, man. Or that's the thing. It's just a case of finding that sweet spot. And I can relate to you on that sense that it eats into my schedule to the point where I'm almost asking myself, what's the most efficient way? Or what's the way I can get the most bang for my buck with training in terms of training while also reducing the amount of time I'm in the gym. So I have time to do other stuff. Because you obviously, we'll go into it more, but you're a director of a company, a supplement company. And that'd chew up a lot of your time. And I'd imagine you're probably in the similar boat where it's you still value making progress and value training, but you want to try to condense it and make it as efficient and time minimalistic as possible. And then,
definitely.
Still drive those adaptations to make progress. And yeah, man, it's rough. I obviously know you quite well. I've known you for a number of years now online. If we lived in this,
8 years, 7 years, something like that.
Something crazy like that.
Been a long ride.
Yeah, I've met Jim, but I haven't met you yet. I plan on meeting you when I go to America next.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was.
You got to come over here, man.
Yeah, but your new place looks really nice in Utah. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's super nice. I was kind of going back and forth because for work, there was a time when I wouldn't have to go in for I only had to go in once every 2 weeks. But right now they want me in multiple times a week. So right now I'm stuck in California. I figured I'll probably be at that job for another 2 months or so. I think once we release this new digestive product that we have from Leviathan, that'll probably be time for me to quit that job and then just focus on Leviathan full time.
Yeah.
I could probably do it now. We make enough, but it's nice to have that extra cushion of money, especially now that I have a mortgage to pay for and all this shit, and want to continue scaling up our inventory for Leviathan, continue coming out with products, and all that shit just adds up in cost and the amount of money that you need to have on hand. So
100%
trying to do what I can, but I think a couple more months and I'll have enough of it.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. Sure, you could do it now, but having that additional liquid cash flow, like you said, gives you that cushioning to be reassured as if something like a curveball gets thrown into the mix, at least you can still manage things very well.
Right. Yeah. I want to have some sort of safeguard to plan for that. If we have a couple slow months that, I'm not going to be struggling.
Yeah.
If I get that figured out, we should be fine.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, that's really cool. It's exciting to hear that you're actually finally going to be, canning that old job soon, because I know you've been there for a while. And, you've been there obviously since before the conception of Leviathan Nutrition. But yeah, it's, I guess it's just growing now. So that's really awesome to hear. But yeah, I know you very well, but I don't know if a lot of the listeners really know you. I mean, there'll be a few people, a few mutual friends that probably follow and subscribe to the podcast, but maybe if you could just tell everyone a little bit about yourself, like how you got into lifting and that sort of jazz, and start from there.
Yeah. So how I got into lifting, I guess that probably started back in like 2005 is whenever I really started lifting. I was always a really, really skinny kid. So kind of around high school is whenever I started working out, really liked it. That's around the time when I joined the bodybuilding.com forums, back when forums were still like in existence. Learned some knowledge there, but mostly just wasted my time like on the MISC and doing shit like that. But still kind of fell in love with bodybuilding, fell in love with working out. And I always wanted to do something with it, like when it comes to a career and a job, but I never really wanted to just be like a personal trainer. I mean, I still went to college for chemistry. I have my degree in chemistry, a bachelor's. So having a supplement company kind of allowed me to combine those two things, because like my knowledge in chemistry comes in handy whenever it comes to formulating supplements and things like that. And it still ties into lifting, fitness, and just making people better. So that's what I really like. And I also really like just being my own boss. I really do not like having a 9-to-5 kind of job. Maybe that works for some people, because like some people need that kind of structure. Yeah. But for me, like I really like to have my own schedule. I like to be able to do my work like whenever I can, and working from home is even better. So again, this kind of helps line all of those things up. Yeah. And, I really like doing that and seeing what kind of like new things that I could bring into the space of supplements. Because I never started Leviathan with the intention of just making like pre-workouts and BCAAs, fat burners, all the shit that normal supplement companies do, that there's already 10,000 products of with the exact same label and exact same ingredients. Yeah. So like all my products, I think at least that there's something unique about them. But like I do focus on more of the health aspects when it comes to things, because again, having a background in bodybuilding and still at least wanting to compete in bodybuilding, I wanted to do something that's actually going to have like a substantial benefit for people. I mean, pre-workouts are cool and all, but like you don't need them. They're not really going to make a difference in your physique. Yeah. But obviously if you're healthier for longer periods of time, and if you're someone who uses gear, being able to stay healthy, that's going to mean a lot, especially for competitive athletes. And, that's something that I'm able to somewhat do, at least with Leviathan. So that's where my focus is. And that's what I'm passionate about. And that's just what I want to focus on doing, and want to make shit that's different, make shit that actually, has research behind it, that I believe it's going to work, make a difference in people's lives, to the best of my knowledge, and put it out there and, see how people like it, see how it goes. And so far our products are doing pretty good. So I guess I'm doing something right. It's just, slow growth, because we don't do a lot of marketing. We don't have a lot of extra income for that kind of thing, because all our income goes directly into making the actual products, which is a very unfamiliar business model when it comes to supplements. But I mean, I've seen companies like Leviathan Nutrition is like the biggest one that comes to mind to me, who have that kind of business model, and now they're very successful. Of course, it's just getting things started and getting the name out there is what takes the longest time. But I mean, that kind of reputation, building that reputation and word of mouth is what's really going to get you somewhere. And it's going to give you more security, like in the long term, rather than just, shelling out thousands of dollars each month for marketing Facebook ads and that sort of thing. Like it's just a gamble, and it's just not something that interests me too. So there's that.
No, I totally understand that, man. Like, I mean, you can kind of almost compare it to when you see some personal trainers or some coaches get into the industry and you see one crowd of them, they'll really push that marketing and that sort of stuff. And aside from that, they don't really have anything. Yeah, they don't really have anything good to offer. I mean, yeah, sure, they can get average results and things like that, but there's no kind of like loyalty in the clientele or in the customers. Whereas, like with the alternative business model where you just focus on being client-centric and focusing on delivering the best possible products or the best possible services, and then making sure that everyone's tended to, that there's good customer service, that sort of thing, that speaks volumes over marketing. Like you could have the best marketing in the world, but if you have terrible customer service, or if you have very patchy customer service and very patchy products and whatnot, then yeah, people aren't going to stick around for the long run. So I agree. Like it's a longer marathon doing it the right way, but it's a more rewarding and a more sustainable one in the end. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I've seen that with coaching too. I mean, same concept applies. You have these people who pay for Facebook ads and they just have like a very high turnover rate. You know, you get like 100 clients in a month and like 90% of them don't make it to the next month, but you just keep recycling clients and like that's how they make their income. Versus, you know, I have quite a few friends who are into coaching business, with yourself included, and you know it's kind of the same with they started small and like they themselves have very impressive physiques, and of course that helps. Most of the people do the marketing shit, like they look like shit too. It's like I don't get why people don't make that connection. They're like, do I really want to look like this guy? And then but yeah, I mean, they see good results, and you know, it's obviously something that they really enjoy. So they're going to enjoy coaching their clients and helping them progress, and that eventually has a snowball effect. And most of them are doing pretty well now with that sort of intention in mind. So
100%, yeah. I think this comes back to having the right intention. If you're ill-intentioned and if you're in it for the wrong reasons, like might not be exposed initially, but in the long run, further down the track, you're going to be exposed. Like it's inevitable, it's unavoidable. But yeah, I mean, one name in the industry in particular at the moment, not to go too far off tangent, that comes to mind is V-Shred. He's shocking us. That's all over the place. V-Shred. His name's V-Shred. He's always got these YouTube ads and he's like, what is it? Something about like fat doesn't burn fat, or he says some sort of like catchphrase and grabs people's attention. And then, he's got this like multi-million-dollar coaching marketing business. And a lot of people are calling him out at the moment and saying that he needs to be stopped because he's actually is at the point where he doesn't need to be stopped. The stuff that he's saying and preaching is pretty outlandish and dangerous.
Yeah, or that's something else they'll do. They'll just say something so ridiculous and like try to like get the attention on them, and then try to bring people in from that. Like, you have guys with PhDs who try to reinvent the wheel when it comes to like developing glutes and like super complicated exercise. I'm like, dude, just like squat. Like you don't.
Squat.
Of course, people like that. You look at them, and my previous statement holds solidly, and I don't know. I can't really explain that phenomenon on how they get clients, but they do somehow, at least for the time being.
It's just people are sheepish, so if enough people do something, everyone else follows suit. But I mean, like, I guess back to studying, you said that you had a bachelor in chemistry. What kind of made you want to pursue that in the first place? Like, obviously you said you didn't have any initial intentions of, all right, I'm going to study so I can open up a supplement company. Like, what was the underlying reason for studying it in the first place? Was it just a subject that you enjoyed at university? I mean, at high school, or is it just something?
Actually, I didn't even take chemistry in high school. In high school, I really didn't care. Like, I took the absolute minimum of like required classes. College, I was still pretty undecided as to like what I was going to major in. And like, I kind of just decided chemistry because like I did have an initial liking for chemistry. I really liked organic chemistry and like the chemistry that focuses more on concepts and like applying concepts rather than like math oriented chemistry. Because organic chemistry is kind of the basis of when it comes to things like pharmaceutical development, which is another industry that I had in mind in working in, like in the long term. But I mean, there's just so much regulation and red tape that go on in the pharmaceutical industry. And also I need a PhD, and, you know, this is just a lot of education and more money to be spent pursuing that route. But yeah, I mean, I really liked that part of chemistry, and just, I've always been someone who likes science in general. So that's kind of what made me decide to do it. I mean, I didn't go into the major with even knowing really what kind of outcomes I may have for like a career. I knew chemical engineers made a decent amount, but you know, I didn't realize how different engineering is from like an actual, just like straight up science major. So whenever I got out of college, I really struggled to find a job. I graduated in 2013. It took me about 8 whole months of just like constantly applying to jobs every single day to get hired. I started working at Weir, the paint company. I don't know if you guys have them down there, but they're based pretty close to where I live now. It was like 30 minutes away. And I was making $12.50 an hour, which is like, you can work at like a fast food place and make that amount of money. And then more in tips. Yeah. And then I had a bachelor's degree and I was making that. And then like I worked there for a couple months. And then my friend actually got me a recommendation to go into Quest. So I started working at Quest. I worked there for like a year and a half.
Quest and then
no, Quest Diagnostics.
Oh, nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah. So what most people know Quest for is like that they do like, if you need blood work, you can go there to get blood work drawn. But I actually worked in like the R&D field at Quest Diagnostics, where we dealt with like viruses and like studying the effects of viruses and that sort of thing, and like vaccine development. I was just like, I mean, we're just like techs. We're just like, most of it was just like a lot of pipetting and like under a sterile environment and that sort of stuff. But it was still very interesting. And it kind of, that sort of knowledge, you know, still has some effect and helped me to have that background. You know, as having a supplement company, you know, I'm familiar with a lot of the GMP type of regulations and conditions that have to be met when it comes to developing supplements. So still useful for that.
That's really cool, man. Yeah. And I guess obviously it's worked out for the better now that you started your supplement company. It's really complimentary of that. And I mean, you did say kind of like you stand out from the crowd in terms of the other supplement companies because of the products you offer there. Like you offer something more unique. I remember you released Todd Kerr. I think that was your first product. Was that correct? Yeah. Did you want to tell everyone about Todd Kerr and a little bit about what it is? Because obviously you're the chemist, so you'll be able to explain it a lot better than I can.
Sure. Yeah. So our first product was Todd Kerr. Actually, whenever I started Leviathan, I didn't really imagine it to be profitable. Like I just made Todd Kerr because like I saw that there were so many other Todd Kerr products out there that were like, they weren't even Todd Kerr. Like I had a few like raw samples tested from
HPLC tested or
from like manufacturers, and like a lot of them were either not Todd Kerr at all, or like it was like purity of like less than 10%.
Wow.
And like I was trying to source Todd Kerr. Yeah, it was really bad. It was possible that it was some other form of bile salt, but it was not Todd Kerr. Because when I was looking at like obtaining the raw ingredient of Todd Kerr, it's a very expensive ingredient. So a lot of the prices of like how much people were selling bottles of Todd Kerr for didn't make sense. You know, and I eventually found a good supplier, and then I started making the bottles myself. And like I was just selling it to like some friends and like barely breaking even because my minimums were so low at that point. But you know, I still had the website, the Shopify website. You know, and luckily I'm friends with people who have more of an influence than me, like guys like Joe, Jason Coley, a couple other people that, you know, they spread the word and that sort of thing. And a couple months into having the company, the two biggest names I got were Dominic Cardone and Jeff Long. They actually like purchased Tudka from me because like I posted, like I've always just been very like what's the word? Very transparent with like what I do. So like I got testing results for it, and like I posted it. It showed that like, you know, it's supposed to be 300 milligrams per capsule. It came back out 285 milligrams, which for dietary supplements, you're basically allowed a plus or minus tolerance rate of like 10%. So like technically 270 milligrams would be acceptable, but like I always try to get it as high as possible. But like I just posted that, and like at that time, no one was doing that. Like no one was doing third-party testing for supplements in general, and especially Tudka because it's so expensive. Yeah. So people saw that and they're like, hey, you know, this, you know, why wouldn't I buy it if I need to use this product? So those kind of guys bought it. You know, they liked it. They noticed that it was actually helpful, and they started spreading the word. Like, you know, Dominic was recommending it to his clients, and Jeff Long actually like made a public post about it on his Instagram. And like, I didn't even ask him to. I was like, that was really fucking cool. Yeah. So at that point, like I had a lot of people coming to me. Yeah. And I was, you know, I just started figuring, hey, maybe I can actually turn this into something. But not to get too off topic. So for Tudka, what Tudka is that it is a form of bile salt. You have a lot of like bile acids and bile salts in your body. Tudka is a secondary bile salt. I have a video on this that kind of explains all these terms and everything. So if anyone wants to listen to that, you can go to Leviathan Nutrition on YouTube and look up the Tudka video. At this point, it has like 6,000 views or something. You should be able to find it pretty easily. So as a bile salt, basically what that does, whenever you take something like orals, because they undergo liver metabolism, it does cause some stress on the liver and some damage. And whenever the liver is under stress, it tends to retain more hydrophilic bile salts, which are like more fat soluble bile salts that kind of get trapped in the liver. And a buildup of those sort of bile salts can be toxic to your liver because your liver is not able to properly flush it out, not able to properly circulate it. So having something like Tudka is basically both hydrophobic and hydrophilic. So it kind of can act like an emulsifier. It can like mix with these hydrophilic toxic bile salts to kind of push them through the liver, reducing the amount of bile buildup that you get in the liver, which will kind of keep your liver clear and able to keep functioning properly. So that's kind of the main mechanism by which Tudka has its benefits, by basically preventing the buildup of toxic bile acids in your liver. It also has some benefits with things like digestion, regularity, and that sort of thing, just because most bile salts do help with digestion. They help absorb and break down like fats, vitamins, at least fat soluble vitamins and that sort of thing. So there are quite a bit of other benefits to Tudka other than just liver support. But when in terms of liver support, it's been very thoroughly studied in humans. And UDCA is basically a very similar molecule to Tudka. It's like the parent molecule. It just undergoes one reaction that turns it into Tudka. But UDCA is prescribed here in the US for like liver cirrhosis, to patients who have like very bad liver issues in the hospital. And every study that you can find online shows that Tudka is actually superior to UDCA, which is prescribed to patients whenever it comes to things like liver cirrhosis, reducing liver enzymes and that sort of thing. But Tudka is still a dietary supplement because it's found in nature. It's commonly found. Our bodies produce it a little bit, but it's most commonly found in like bears, like bears produce it as their own bile.
Wow.
So that's kind of where the regulation part comes in, that it's still like allowed to be a supplement.
Yeah.
Because I think it was China, whenever they first started using Tudka, like how they obtained it was by like killing bears and like extracting the bile from them. Yeah, like now, because it's like a very cruel process and everything. So now what they do is, they're able to produce it synthetically.
Yeah.
But then you still have the quality issues, and you got to make sure that you're getting it from a good manufacturer.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. But yeah, I mean, that's where it comes from and why it still has that that legality as far as being a supplement.
Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. Yeah. So the efficacy extends, I mean, beyond enhanced bodybuilders and enhanced bodybuilding. People of the general population can benefit from it as well in a lot of cases. And like with the other benefits you said that the product poses. So that's pretty cool. It's similar to testosterone and stuff in the sense that when we first obviously isolated testosterone, the process was we would take it from a living animal and then eventually we synthetically produced it from yams and I think it was soybean. Is that correct?
I'm not too sure on that history.
Yeah.
It could be though. Yeah. I mean, I know that's how we first got insulin by I think it was like pigs, the pituitary gland of pigs or something. So
yeah, and then human growth hormone was from another animal too, and then they found that it was causing a lot of issues, so they had to learn to synthetically create it in a lab. With the conception of Leviathan Nutrition, like, are there a lot of I mean, you mentioned red tape in the pharmaceutical industry, but in terms of the supplement industry, is there a lot of red tape too in terms of the legalities between different countries and whatnot? Like, do you find some products get through in certain countries and other products don't? Because I think you've dabbled into nootropics as well, yeah?
Yeah. It depends. I mean, it's country specific. Yeah. I mean, like Australia and Canada in particular are pretty stingent with the kinds of supplements, especially with what's going on in Australia now, or what started like last year, where they divided things I think they consider like powders as being regulated as a food, and then pills as being regulated under your guys's like pharmaceutical branch or something like that. Which made no sense to me.
Yeah.
I haven't really kept up to date with that, but I mean, like, as far as shipping goes too, I mean, sometimes you have to be careful with how you label them and that sort of thing. It's, at least with us, I mean, we don't have we're not like super large scale in other countries. So we're able to get through, most customs issues. But like, if you are importing at like a very large scale, like if you have Costco or something, carrying your products, you have to go through a lot of, different regulations that every country has, that differs. And especially with those two countries, for supplements, it can get pretty complex. But I mean, here in America, supplements are still regulated by the FDA, and they're required to have like GMP to meet GMP conditions and that sort of thing. So there's still regulation, but most of that regulation occurs like at the supplement manufacturers. So, like, I mean, I can get really into the legalities of supplements, because where I work full time, we also have I'm a R&D chemist for a personal care product company. Like, we manufacture personal care products. We also have a small manufacturing facility for supplements, because they have their own like private label line. So like I've gone through these audits by the NSF and that sort of thing before. So it is very involved. But like, most of that GMP stuff occurs at the manufacturer. And then, so as a private, like, we're considered private label companies. So we buy our products from the manufacturer, and a lot of it, especially if you're not very familiar with GMP, a lot of it is just relying on the manufacturer to do things correctly. And then, they pass a product down to you. But if you do get a complaint about a supplement, like if someone takes your product and they end up in the hospital or, something get hurt somehow, that responsibility is going to fall on you, not the manufacturer. So if the FDA learns about that, they can come down on you and would expect you to be able to provide like all the GMP documentation and that sort of stuff that the manufacturer usually has. But, you have to ask specifically from the manufacturer, be like, hey, I want a batch record for this product that we have made. And the funny thing about this industry too is a lot of manufacturers will not provide that information to their own clients. It's very shady. There's a lot of shady ass supplement manufacturers out there. They'll say like, oh, that's private company information or something. And like, if you own a supplement company, like most people don't know the actual GMP requirements. Like, no, you even as a private label, like you have to have those batch records and you have to have that information on hand, because you can also get audited by the FDA, even though the FDA usually will audit the manufacturers, but they can also come and audit you as a third party or like as a private label supplement company. So that's something to keep in mind, that I think as time goes on, the FDA is becoming more involved with supplements just because it's rapidly expanding, and there is a lot of shady shit out there, especially on Amazon. You go on Amazon, you see like a lot of just absolute garbage products, and they have thousands of reviews, and they're dirt cheap. These products are usually end up hurting someone and then makes the whole industry look bad. So that's kind of stuff is going to be cracked down on more as we go. So a lot of companies who are not aware of that, you have to be ready, or it's gonna hurt a lot of companies.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. Yeah, because I don't really know much about the legalities at all. But I mean, I'm really glad to hear that the FDA is starting to get more and more involved, because I know they've always had a pretty bad rap when it comes to supplements. They don't really regulate the supplement industry well. And yes, it's good that they're putting I guess more of a proactive effort into trying to regulate and weed out all the dodgy, shady companies. I mean, yeah, like you said, there's so many dodgy companies out there. Like I've got a close friend of mine who was also a client a while back, and he was in the army. He lived and breathed the army. Like he wanted to be in there since he was in high school, and he had plans on pretty much staying in there indefinitely until he retired. And he was only in his early 20s at the time, and he got a supplement sponsor because he was doing quite well with his lifting, and he was completely natural, doing the right thing. Like he wasn't taking any banned substances while he was in the military. And the supplement company that were sponsoring him, they provided him with free supplements and whatnot. And like they said that they had X, Y, and Z ingredients, and they didn't have this, and this. And he was very careful about what he took because he didn't want to get tested at work and then kicked out of the army. And they ended up giving him a product which had a derivative of a methamphetamine in there. And he obviously, it showed up as meth when he got his blood test at the army, and or it might have been a urine test. But yeah, it showed up positive that he was on a illegal drug, and he obviously didn't willingly or consciously take it. So he was wondering what the heck was going on. And then the supplement company just kind of went a bit shady on him. And even the prime minister, like we don't have a president here, but we have a prime minister because we're underneath the monarch or whatever it is. And the prime minister, the leader of the country, tried to pardon him, and the military wouldn't accept it. Like the actual country leader tried to step in and pardon him from the head of the military, and they said no. He even though he's not at fault, he's at fault pretty much. And it was pretty tragic. So he got booted out of the army, and I was really pissed off when I heard about that. Like I lost a lot of respect for the military. Because I mean, yeah, I can understand if somebody consciously took it, but yeah, I guess that just extends to show how bad the supplement industry is. Like he was doing the right thing, every good intention, and a real good Samaritan, wanted to serve his country in the military his entire life, and they just boot him out without a blink of an eye. but yeah, it goes to show the impact that being a dodgy company can have on people's lives. Like a lot of people take these substances without even realizing it. I mean, for years until they kind of, I don't know if they banned it in America, but in Australia they banned DMAA.
It's technically banned here. You still see some products that have it,
like direct or different analogs, or
like I think usually you have to find it at like a brick and mortar store. Like they'll have it behind the table or something like that. Like if you try to sell it online, like through Shopify, they'll ban you. They'll ban you outright unless you just don't put it on the label and like don't post it or something like that. There's probably some way to get out of it. But yeah, DMAA. I think DMHA is also banned here, which is a very similar molecule, almost as potent. But yeah, there's still quite a bit of that floating around. I think some companies still produce products with it. At least I remember as of last year, they still were. So there's still a lot of that on the market, but it's kind of taking the same route as DMAA and eventually is just going to get phased out. But I mean, there's a lot of shady shit like that. I saw, like I'm in a Facebook group where like it's Supplement Snoop. If you are familiar with the app, he's actually one of my business partners. I'm in their group, and like sometimes people post like just comical labels, like labels that don't for a supplement label, they're supposed to follow FDA regulations, and like there's some labels that like they look like they're made by like a 5-year-old. Like there's literally labels of this pre-workout where someone actually took a Sharpie and like no joke, they literally just like inked out an ingredient, and the ingredient was I think DMAA or DMHA at 75 milligrams. So like,
oh wow,
I don't remember much of the backstory, but like they literally just like took a Sharpie, took every single label in the batch and like just did that. Like I don't know what kind of manufacturing facility made that. Yeah. Like if they just like made it in their kitchen or something, but yeah, there's still some like very shady shit that goes on.
Yeah, see, that's pretty bad. Needs to be flushed out of the industry ASAP. Yeah,
and there's also people at the manufacturing level. I can speak of one person with or several people who have been caught before by the DEA. I think FDA and DEA of like spiking products intentionally with like anabolic steroids, and then of course just not putting it on the label. So they got caught doing that. One was an actual manufacturer. That was back in 2016. So they got caught. They went to federal court over it. One guy ended up in prison. I think he's still in prison. Another guy got off like free or whatever, I think because he snitched on his partner or something. He now has like one of the very popular manufacturing facilities out there based in Georgia. And yeah, it's a lot. I know a lot of people go through them because they have very small like minimums. So like companies are just starting out, usually end up going through those guys, and those guys are still in business. I don't know how. It's very, very shady.
They've probably got a lot of friends high up in the legal side of things.
Yeah. And like, I mean, these guys are making tons of money too. So
yeah, they could pay people to silence them.
They pay them to look the other way, and like, they just get away with this shit.
Yeah, unfortunately, the world's like that. Like the justice system isn't really that just, to be honest. Like if you have enough money, you can get away with anything these days, unfortunately.
I mean, just look at the social media billionaires.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah,
that's another subject. I think Facebook ban like all Australian-based news or something like that.
Yeah,
I heard something like that. Like there was Australia wanted them to pay the reporters a small share or something for advertising, and Facebook basically just said no and like started banning every single like news source for Australia.
I think I recall that happening. Yeah, and it might have even happened with YouTube as well. I think there was some sort of issue going on with YouTube around the same time as that, from memory. But yeah, it's bad. Eh? It's really bad. Like the world's just burning.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Sure. and they get away with it.
Oh, it's so bad. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess that's kind of, everything. I don't think I've missed anything. Like, we've covered everything pretty well, I think. I mean, obviously, yeah, you've got Leviathan Nutrition. So maybe if you want to let everyone know where they can find you, like what socials that you have and what products you stock and yeah.
Yeah. So my personal Instagram, you can follow me at W Whitlock Fitness. It's a W, and then Whitlock is WHITLOCK, and then fitness. It's all one word. And then we also have our Leviathan Nutrition Instagram account. It's just at Leviathan Nutrition. Leviathan is spelled Leviathan. And then our website is leviathan-nutrition.com. And we also have a Facebook, not very active there. Also have a YouTube, post a couple videos on there. Like we have quite a few like informational videos on there for people who are looking to learn more about supplements, more specifically like health supplements. And I have some like regulatory type of videos on there too, if anyone is interested in checking that kind of thing out. But yeah, I think that's all the socials.
Nice, man. Awesome. Yeah. I highly recommend you guys going over to his YouTube and checking out the videos. They're really valuable and they explain a lot when it comes to understanding what his products are about. Thanks, man, for coming on. Hey, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your week and giving me the time of the day to finally do an episode.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me on. I'm glad we were finally able to
do it.
Defer from our time difference too, and like able to come up with something.
Yeah. Well, it's like morning here, but it's evening there for you. So what, Wednesday for you?
Yeah, it's Wednesday 3 p.m. here.
Yeah, Thursday 9 a.m. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, yeah, thanks again, man, and I'll talk to you soon. But yeah, everyone, check out his socials, and I'll put them in the description of the episode as well, so you can find them there. And until next time, guys, stay strong and stay safe.